Come to the Electoral Commission, especially under the conditions of COVID-19. My name is Nomsa Masubu. I'm one of the 5 commissioners of the Electoral Commission. And on my right-hand side is the Vice Chairperson of the Electoral Commission, Ms. Janet Love. On her right-hand side is Commissioner Musutu Miepio. On my left-hand side is the Chief Electoral Officer, Mr. Sai Mamabulo. I believe that there are people that are joining us remotely via the screen. Please bear with us as we learn how to use the facilities efficiently. Without saying much more, allow me to introduce once again the Vice Chairperson. She is the one who is going to read the statement for today. Commissioner Love, please.
Thank you. Thank you very much, and once again, fellow commissioners, including our chairperson, Mr. Glenn Mashanini, who is joining us virtually via or from KwaZulu-Natal, the Chief Electoral Officer, Deputy Chief Electoral Officers, staff of the Commission, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for your attendance here today, both live and virtually. We are greatly encouraged by your interest and your focus on these by-elections. Ladies and gentlemen, the Electoral Commission is pleased with the holding of by-elections across 55 municipalities in all 9 provinces yesterday, which were overwhelmingly calm, peaceful, and successful. These elections were extraordinary in that they were the first to be held in South Africa under COVID-19 conditions and were the largest number of by-elections held on a single day in our history. The Commission is also encouraged by the turnout of voters, which remained within the range for by-elections that have been held since the 2016 municipal elections. The average turnout yesterday was 37.83%, compared to an average of 38.73% over the past 4 years. The highest turnout recorded yesterday was 75.29%, which was recorded in Ward 4 of Port St. John's municipality in the Eastern Cape. Given the fact that these were the first elections conducted during COVID-19, that the election day was a normal working day, and given the inclement weather in many parts of the country, especially in KwaZulu-Natal, the success of these elections bodes well for the upcoming municipal elections scheduled for 2021. The Electoral Commission wishes to express its gratitude to those voters who came out to vote and for following the COVID-19 protocols strictly and without complaint. We also express our thanks to the political parties, their candidates and agents for their support, cooperation, and contribution to the success of these by-elections. Thanks must also be extended to the South African Police Services for being a constantly dependable partner in the delivery of safe and peaceful elections. The Commission wishes to express its gratitude to the Electoral Court for providing judicial clarity and condonation to enable us to conduct these elections outside the 90-day period due to the COVID-19 restrictions. Finally, our gratitude goes to you, the media, for generating extraordinary interest in these by-elections. We really appreciate that. Despite the overwhelmingly smooth, calm, and peaceful by-elections yesterday, the Commission is saddened and concerned by the disruptions caused to voting earlier in the day in 2 wards. The opening of voting stations was significantly delayed in Ward 130, Naledi, Soweto, in the city of Johannesburg, and at one voting station in Ward 13 of Amahlati municipality in the Eastern Cape. Protests over service delivery targeted these voting stations, including blocking access for election officials and voters. Through the intervention of the South African Police Services along with provincial and municipal leaders, voting was able to finally get underway at around midday. The Commission supports the rights of communities to protest peacefully, but only in a manner that does not infringe on the rights of citizens to vote and voice their views through democratic processes. The Commission is grateful to the swift intervention of the SAPs and interventions by the community and political leaders to resolve these situations. The Commission calls on the South African Police Services to take decisive action against anyone whose actions impeded the holding of free and fair elections. The Commission calls on leaders from political parties, community structures, religious and civic organizations, along with traditional authorities, to work with the Electoral Commission to ensure that future by-elections and the 2021 municipal elections are not disrupted or impacted by protest action. So to give you a national overview, the results per party of the 95 wards contested yesterday are as follows. The African National Congress retained 64 wards, lost 2 wards, and won 6 new wards. The Democratic Alliance retained 14 wards, lost 9 wards, and won 2 new wards. The Inkatha Freedom Party retained 4 wards, won 1 new ward. The Patriotic Alliance won 1 new ward. The Good Party won 1 new ward. Al-Jamaa won 1 new ward. The Vryheidsfront Plus won 1 new ward. The National Freedom Party lost 1 ward. The United Front of Civics Party lost 1 ward. With regard to the economic freedom fighters, there was no change in their position insofar as ward by-elections are concerned. The provincial overview is as follows. In the Eastern Cape, of the 19 wards that were contested, the African National Congress retained 18 seats, and the Democratic Alliance won 1 seat from the ANC in the province. Voter turnout in that province, on average, was 36.85%. In the Free State, of the 4 wards that were contested, the ANC retained 3 seats, and the DA won 1 seat from the United Front of Civics Party, which had won that seat in by-elections that were held on the 23rd of August 2017. The voter turnout in the Free State province on average was 40.23%. In Gauteng, of the 14 wards that were contested, the ANC retained 10 seats and won 2 seats from the DA. Al-Jamaa won 1 seat from the DA, as did the Patriotic Alliance. Voter turnout in the Gauteng province on average was 24.49%. In KwaZulu-Natal, of 12 wards that were contested, the ANC retained 3 seats and won 1 seat from the National Freedom Party, which had won the seat in by-elections held on the 21st of August 2019. The DA retained 3 seats, the Inkatha Freedom Party retained 4 and won 1 seat from the ANC. Voter turnout in the province on average was 38.87%. In Limpopo, of the 4 wards that were contested, the ANC retained all 4 seats. Voter turnout in the province on average was 41.24%. In Mpumalanga, of the 5 wards that were contested, the ANC retained 3 seats and the DA retained 2 seats. Voter turnout in the province on average was 29.94%. In the northwest, of the 6 wards that were contested, the ANC retained 4 seats and won 1 seat from the DA, and the Vryheidsfront Plus won 1 seat from the DA. Voter turnout in that province on average was 34.99%. In the Northern Cape, of the 20 wards that were contested, the ANC retained 17 seats and won 2 seats from the DA. The DA retained 1 seat, and voter turnout in the Northern Cape on average was 49.31%. In the Western Cape, of the 11 wards that were contested, the ANC retained 2 seats and the DA retained 8 seats. The Good Party won 1 seat from the DA. Voter turnout in the province on average was 37.6%. Regarding the 2 dissolved councils, the results of the by-elections in these 2 dissolved councils in the Northern Cape are as follows. Renosterberg, the ANC won 4 seats compared to 4 seats that it won in 2016. The Democratic Alliance won 2 seats compared to 3 seats that it won in 2016. And the Economic Freedom Fighters won 1 seat compared to 0 seats in 2016. In Polokwane, the African National Congress won 10 seats compared to 12 seats that it won in 2016. The Economic Freedom Fighters won 5 seats compared to 3 seats that it won in 2016. The Democratic Alliance won 2 seats compared to 3 seats in 2016. The African Independent Congress won 1 seat compared to 1 seat in 2016, and the Vryheidsfront Plus won 1 seat compared to 0 seats in 2016. Before I conclude, on behalf of the Electoral Commission, we wish to express our deepest condolences and sympathies to the family of Auditor General Mr. Kimi Makwetu, as well as to the staff of the AGSA. As Chairman of the fellow Chapter 9 Constitutional Institution, and as a former Chairperson of the Forum for Institutions Supporting Democracy, Mr. Makwetu was a key pillar in the pursuit and the safeguarding and the development of our democracy. He was a person of courage and the utmost integrity, showing dedication and commitment to the values of our Constitution. We mourn his passing as a great loss for our country. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Vice Chairperson. At this point, I am going to invite any questions from the media. Please introduce yourself. If I don't see you, if you can, sir, please introduce yourself to us first.
Hi, my name is Malone. We're from Newsroom Africa. I just want to get a clarity on this voter turnout. Is it 37.3%? That's the national feature, that's my understanding. Is that good or bad? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Malungelo. And I go to you.
Hi, it's Natasha Sumika from SABC. In regards to the situation that occurred yesterday in Naledi and my site in the Eastern Cape, I know that you just bombasted, these disruptions. The police had to intervene at some point. I remember I spoke to Mr. Shiguri yesterday, but do you know of any arrests that actually took place? Were people arrested? Because there was a statement coming up from the EFF, and they say they have proof that those who barricaded the voting stations, particularly in Naledi, are actually ANC members. So has any complaints been made with the commission? And then furthermore, because these by-elections were now used as a template for the by-elections in December, in January, and next local government elections, how is the overview of it? Are you guys happy? What are the lessons learned going forward? And possibly moving forward, is this the new normal now?
Thank you very much. I see a hand right at the back there, sir.
Thank you so much, Graham Redline, ETV News and Sports. Just wanted to ask, yes, you alluded to the average turnout of 37.83%, quite similar to the 38.73% seen over the past 4 years in terms of that average. Can you give some sort of insight in terms of the voter turnout yesterday? Do you feel as if people weren't coming out because of COVID, or do you feel that these numbers are quite consistent with the by-elections held, since the advent of democracy? I don't know what numbers you have, but just your general feeling.
Okay. Thank you very much. I'm going to take one more hand, if that is okay. Yes, please, sir. Please remember to introduce yourself.
My name is Paul Musa from the Voice of Africa. I just wanted to find out something. Do you have any spoiled ballots?
Thank you very much, sir. I'm going to first start with you, Vice Chair.
Thanks very much for the engagement. So let me put together the two questions that deal with the overall percentage of participation of 37.83%. Firstly, to talk about it as good or bad. From the Commission's point of view, our hope always is to have not only 100% participation of registered voters, but in fact to have 100% of eligible people who are willing and able to vote to be actually voting. At the same time, we believe that this is something that is at the heart of a collective endeavor of our nation to ensure that participation is always increased. Clearly, and it relates then to the second question, as a Commission, we were very concerned that issues like I don't know if it is the new normal, but the new situation that we find ourselves, and I'm sure that will shape what will become the new normal of COVID, as well as the fact that, as we have indicated, this was such an extraordinary occasion of so many by-elections on one day, that is something that did not unduly turn against the participation. And so this is why we have stated that this percentage of 37.83% falls within the norm that we have seen for by-elections over the time of the last years since 2016. So I hope that clarifies that issue. With regard to the issues of the question of the detail of spoiled ballots and so on, I will really ask that this is something that's dealt with by the CEO and other officials. And with regard to issues of complaints and so on, at this stage, we are not aware of any complaints that have been lodged, but there may be additional information that the officials will add to in relation to that picture. And that would I think, deal with the questions that have been put to me. Thanks,
Thank you very much, Vice Chair. CEO, Artificial Swapsi. Are you okay?
Yeah. Okay. With respect to spoiled ballots, indeed there were spoiled ballots. but nothing outside of the ordinary. They accord with past performance, so there is no outlier in this by-election in respect of spoiled ballots. We can give you the precise figures per ward if required, but well within the national norm.
Thank you very much. Do we have any further questions? Yes, please, sir.
I'm Ayanda from Eyewitness News. Can we get an idea of how much it cost to put all of this together? This was an unprecedented by-election, which means that I imagine the scale also must have had an impact on how much money was spent. And moving forward, do you get a sense that it makes more sense, in fact, to have a bulk by-election rather than having it split out as perhaps it was the case in the past? Logistically speaking, does it not make more sense to have a moment rather than all these sporadic by-elections as has been the case?
Thank you very much, Ayanda. I don't see any further hands. CEO, please.
Is it desirable to have a bulk? We don't have a choice. We needed to clear them because in law, by-elections have got to be held in wards where there are vacancies. And we had built up a backlog owing to COVID conditions. So it's not a matter on which we have much choice. We've got to operate within the legal prescripts. But of course, because they are bulk, my colleagues will say that they prefer them staggered over a period of time like we normally do every month. And we will be doing that. We have one set of by-elections planned for December, another in January, and possibly from then on once every month. To have them together like this, you lose a few kilograms in weight. But it's part of the game.
Okay, but seriously, is it just because it's more stressful to have a lot of them together versus having them spaced out? Sorry to interrupt.
You have to work a little harder. You've got to, your span of control increases significantly with a bigger by-election such as this one. But I guess that's why we are here. That's why we are paid.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then the cost, CEO, please.
We're still counting because there's a staffing cost that comes in after. We've got to check whether people did turn up, all of them. Some of them may have been assigned to work but may not have arrived and so on. So that element of the cost is currently indeterminate. On PPE alone, we spent in the order of 3 million just to cover our staff as well as other supplies that we needed to provide in the voting station. So a rough guesstimate at the moment, something between 10 and 15 million.
Thank you very much, CEO. Yes, please, to you, sir.
Another question. I mean, somebody just posted on social media that what was the rationale of having a by-election on Wednesday? Why not have it on Saturday? Normally, the IEC voter registration weekend, voter registration actually takes place over the weekends. So is this not also a contributing factor to why people didn't actually participate in the by-elections? And I mean, honestly speaking, people don't even know what by-elections are. Some people don't. So is this a factor the IEC would be considering going forward?
Thank you very much, Naledi. Who would like to take that? I believe it's... Let's give it to you, Chair.
We normally hold by-elections on a Wednesday simply because it then enables people who are not going to be, who have got other commitments in terms of their days of the week, that Wednesday falling in the middle, it's not too close to one or either side of a weekend. And as you know, normally when we have countrywide events, we often have that Wednesday declared as a public holiday. So the issue about the Wednesday is that many people's activities and arrangements for their own programs and their own movements change over a weekend, whereas during the week on a Wednesday, when it's a public holiday, that is something that we usually have arranged for a Wednesday. So that is why the Wednesday was selected for this. The registration weekend is something different. As to whether or not we'll be reconsidering that, I think that the issue about whether or not we would have so many by-elections on one day has already been answered. And I think then the question about whether or not it should be on a Wednesday or a weekend is a very different kind of question. I think, though, that the issue that you attached to your question, which is the awareness of people of what a by-election is, or whether, I'm not sure that that is dependent on whether it takes place on a Wednesday or indeed on a weekend. So maybe just to clarify that. But maybe the CEO, you also want to add something there?
The weekend, we've looked at this subject some 2-3 years ago. And what became apparent is that the weekend has many factors which have a displacement effect. What I mean by that is people have got to attend to social functions on Saturdays, funerals, weddings, football matches, rugby matches, sporting activities, and so on. So there's that great deal of displacement of people from their places of ordinary residence. Now, if you look at the question from the choice of day from a religious neutrality, it also becomes important because if you have it on a weekend, there are people who worship on Saturday who don't want to miss their worship gatherings. If you have it on Sunday, a similar problem arises. If you have it on a Friday, that problem arises. So from a religious neutrality perspective, Wednesday gives us a better option. Perhaps not ideal, but a better option.
Thank you very much, CEO. Can I just check if we have any questions from our virtual audience? Thank you very much. Any further? Yes, please, sir.
Yes, I just want to ask one more question, perhaps just following up on terms of the lessons learned and going forward. In terms of COVID-19 specifically, were there any sort of red flags at any of the voting stations yesterday? Does any of the staff have to undergo tests before or after the as you can imagine, a lot of people are coming into sometimes, small little halls or whatever the case may be. So what is the kind of protocol there? Thank you.
Thank you very much. CEO, please.
One of the things that has given us gratification with how the process went yesterday is our anti-COVID interventions, especially the measures at the voting stations. The fact that we had voters who were very keen to observe the protocols, social distancing, keen to use sanitizing solution, everybody coming to a voting station in a mask. Those that could, they brought along their pens and so on. So that message found good resonance with the voters. And I think that's something that we wish to take into the preparation for the 2021 by-election. So we're very happy with the manner in which the voters received the measures and embraced them in the voting process.
Thank you very much. Can I just confirm if we've covered all the questions? With that, ladies and gentlemen, that would bring us to the conclusion of this press briefing. You have received already the statement. If you have any further questions, you know the usual channels, but also the way of communicating with the Electoral Commission are also indicated at the end of the statement. I thank you profusely for taking the time to come to this building during this time to have this press briefing. And as you know, we are building up to the 2021 elections. I know that we'll be seeing more of you, and we thank you profusely for sending the message out and helping us to make sure that South Africans are informed and that they are ready, and that we can receive them as we do. So thank you very much, and I wish you safe travel. Thank you.
There's just one little business that we needed to sort out. We did not receive mail-in ballots.
All right, then, well, you can see the end then of that IEC briefing then as we come to the close of the by-elections which are contested